The massive crystalline dome of the Galactic Assembly stretched across the horizon of New Geneva, its iridescent surface reflecting the light of three suns. Dr. Elena Santos stood at the observation deck, her dark eyes fixed on the streams of alien vessels arriving for what would become the most pivotal moment in human history. After 2 centuries of faster-than-light travel and 50 years of petitioning, humanity would finally receive an answer to their bid for Assembly membership. Nervous, Ambassador Marcus Chen appeared beside her, his ceremonial robes flowing with embedded quantum particles that shifted colors with each movement. A gift from the Meridian species, one of humanity's few allies in the Assembly. Nervous implies uncertainty, Elena replied, adjusting her neural interface band. The subtle blue glow at her temple matched the holographic displays floating around them. I'm certain they're making a mistake. Marcus raised an eyebrow. That's not the attitude I need from Earth's leading quantum physicist today. The Assembly respects data, achievements. Your breakthroughs in quantum consciousness integration could revolutionize their entire understanding of space-time. Elena finished. And that's exactly what terrifies them. She gestured to the alien ships still arriving. Look at their vessels, all identical within their species groups, all following the Assembly's approved designs. 2,000 years of technological stagnation disguised as stability. The ambassador's diplomatic mask cracked slightly, revealing a hint of his own frustration. Then we show them a better way. That's why we're here. The summons came 3 hours later. Elena and Marcus joined the Earth delegation in the Assembly's main chamber, a vast amphitheater with ascending rings of delegation pods, each containing representatives from the 1,000+ species of the galaxy's ruling body. The architecture was designed to intimidate, to remind petitioners of their place in the cosmic hierarchy. High Speaker Exiled, a towering figure of crystalline segments and flowing plasma, raised their primary appendage. The chamber fell silent. The Assembly has reviewed Earth's petition for membership. Their translated voice resonated through neural interfaces. We acknowledge humanity's rapid advancement. In mere centuries, you have achieved what took other species millennia. Elena felt Marcus tense beside her. Any praise from the Assembly usually preceded a devastating but. However, Xalthar continued, it is precisely this rate of advancement that concerns us. Your species' approach to technological development is chaotic, unpredictable. You implement changes before fully understanding their consequences. The quantum consciousness integration technology presented by Dr. Santos, while impressive, demonstrates this tendency. Elena stepped forward, her voice clear and steady. High Speaker, with respect, our technology has passed every safety protocol established by the Assembly. We've demonstrated its potential for revolutionizing space travel, medical treatment, even environmental restoration. Yes, another Assembly member, a Varaxian with shifting smoke-like form, interjected. And in doing so, you've completely disregarded our established development pathways. Your breakthrough challenges the very foundations of our understanding of consciousness and quantum mechanics. Such disruption cannot be allowed to destabilize our carefully maintained order. Marcus raised his hand, his diplomatic training evident in his measured response. The Assembly's purpose is to foster cooperation and advancement among species. If we found new paths to that advancement, shouldn't they be celebrated rather than feared? Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Elena noticed several smaller delegations, mostly from younger spacefaring races, nodding in agreement, but they weren't the ones with voting power. High Speaker Xalthar's crystalline segments shifted to a deeper blue. The Assembly's decision is final. Earth's petition for membership is denied. Furthermore, to maintain galactic stability, we are implementing restrictions on human technological development. All research into quantum consciousness integration must cease. Your existing developments in this field will be contained within your solar system until such time as the Assembly deems humanity sufficiently mature. The chamber erupted in discussion. Elena stood frozen, her mind racing through calculations and possibilities. They weren't just being denied membership, they were being shackled. Marcus stepped forward, his voice cutting through the chaos. And if we refuse these restrictions, then Earth will face total embargo. Xalthar stated. No trade, no cultural exchange, no access to assembly space lanes. Choose wisely, Ambassador. Elena felt a hand on her arm. Marcus was subtly guiding her toward the exit. His face was composed, but she could see the calculations behind his eyes, different from her quantum formulas, but no less intense. As they reached the corridor outside, Elena pulled him to a stop. Marcus, they're not just afraid of our technology. They're afraid of what it represents. The quantum consciousness integration proves their fundamental theories about the universe are wrong. I know, he replied, his voice low. And they'd rather suppress the truth than adapt to it. He glanced back at the chamber doors. But they've made a critical error. What's that? A slight smile crossed his face. They assumed we needed their permission to change the universe. He activated his neural interface, sending a coded message. Contact your team at the Quantum Labs. Tell them to begin Protocol Omega. Total information blackout, effective immediately. Elena's eyes widened. You knew this would happen. I hoped it wouldn't. But humanity didn't come this far by letting others dictate our potential. He straightened his robes. They want stability. Fine. Let them keep their stagnant empire. We'll build something better. As they walked toward their shuttle, Elena's mind was already racing with possibilities. The assembly had just shown their hand, and their greatest weakness. They were so focused on maintaining their version of order that they couldn't see the chaos of the universe wasn't a force to be controlled, but a source of infinite potential. Marcus, she said as they boarded, I need to show you something. A theoretical application of the quantum consciousness technology that we didn't include in our presentation. It's not just about faster travel or healing. It's about fundamentally changing how we interact with reality itself. The ambassador secured the shuttle's door, engaging the quantum encryption fields. Show me. As Earth's delegation departed New Geneva, the assembly congratulated themselves on maintaining their precious stability. They didn't realize they had just created exactly what they feared most, a humanity with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. The breaking point wasn't just a moment of rejection. It was the spark that would ignite a revolution, not of weapons and warfare, but of ideas and innovation. The assembly had tried to contain humanity's potential within their carefully constructed box of rules and regulations. Instead, they had just guaranteed that humanity would think so far outside that box, the box itself would become obsolete. The journey back to Earth was quiet, but Elena's mind was anything but silent. In the quantum equations dancing through her neural interface, she saw not just the future of human advancement, but the key to reshaping the galaxy itself. The assembly thought they were ending humanity's story. In reality, they were just setting the stage for its greatest chapter. 5 years could change everything and nothing at all. Dr. Elena Santos stood in her underground laboratory beneath the Atacama Desert, watching quantum probability waves dance across her enhanced reality display. The facility, officially listed as a Deep Earth Mineral Research Station, was one of dozens scattered across Earth and Mars, each one a blind spot in the assembly's watchful eyes. Neural sync complete, Dr. Yuki Tanaka announced from her station, her augmented fingers dancing through holographic controls. Quantum consciousness field is stable at 97% coherence. Elena nodded, studying the data streams flowing through her neural interface. The technology the assembly had feared and banned had evolved far beyond their imagination. Begin the consciousness transfer test. In the center of the lab, a sphere of pure energy materialized. Inside, patterns of light shifted and swirled, mirroring the brainwave patterns of their test subject, a volunteer from the science team who was currently seated in a meditation chamber 50 kilometers away. Consciousness successfully externalized, Yuki reported. No degradation in the pattern. She's maintaining stable awareness in both locations simultaneously. Elena allowed herself a small smile. What the assembly had dismissed as dangerous and chaotic was about to revolutionize humanity's understanding of existence itself. They weren't just bending the rules of physics, they were rewriting them. The lab's quantum-encrypted communications system chimed. Ambassador Marcus Gen's hologram materialized, his expression both excited and cautious. "Elena, we've got movement. The Meridians have finally responded to our back-channel proposal." "About time." Elena turned to face him. "What did they say?" "They're in, along with the Arcturus Collective and 3 other species who faced similar restrictions from the Assembly." Marcus's hologram flickered as he transmitted encrypted data. "They're calling themselves the Coalition of Progressive Species. Not very subtle, but it gets the point across." Elena reviewed the data. Each of these species had faced Assembly restrictions on their technological development, forced to abandon promising research directions that didn't fit the Assembly's narrow view of acceptable progress. Together, they represented a small but significant portion of galactic civilization, and more importantly, they represented change. "Have you shown them the full scope of what we've developed?" she asked. Marcus shook his head. "Not yet. We needed to be sure they were committed." "But Elena..." He paused, his diplomatic mask slipping to reveal genuine amazement. "What your team achieved with the quantum consciousness integration. It's beyond anything we imagined possible 5 years ago." Elena gestured to the sphere of energy, where their volunteers' consciousness continued to exist in perfect harmony with their physical form. "We stopped trying to force quantum mechanics to follow classical rules. Instead, we learned to think like the quantum realm itself, to exist in multiple states simultaneously, to transcend traditional boundaries of space and time." "And the Assembly's monitoring?" "Haven't detected a thing," Elena smiled. "They're still looking for traditional energy signatures, conventional research patterns. We're operating on a level they don't even know exists." The lab's main screen activated, displaying a message from their orbital facilities. Dr. James Carter, their lead engineer in space applications, appeared. "Dr. Santos, Ambassador, you need to see this. We've just picked up massive disturbances in the Assembly's hyperspace lanes." The display split, showing real-time data from their quantum sensors. The carefully maintained hyperspace routes that the Assembly used for interstellar travel were beginning to fluctuate wildly. Some were collapsing entirely. "Natural phenomenon?" Elena asked, though she already suspected the answer. "No," James replied. "The quantum calculations suggest these are symptoms of a much larger problem. The Assembly's standardized approach to hyperspace travel has created a cascading resonance effect. Their lanes are destabilizing faster than they can repair them." Marcus's hologram shifted closer to the display. "How long?" "At current rates, major trade routes will begin failing within months. The Assembly's entire transportation network could collapse within a year." Elena and Marcus shared a look. 5 years ago, the Assembly had rejected humanity for being too unpredictable, too innovative. Now that very predictability they championed was becoming their downfall. "Elena," Marcus said slowly, "how close are we to implementing the full-scale version of your quantum consciousness integration drive?" "The prototype vessel is ready," she replied. "We've successfully tested it within the solar system. Unlike the Assembly's hyperspace lanes, our system creates individual quantum tunnels, each calibrated to the specific consciousness patterns of the crew. No fixed routes, no cascading failures." Marcus nodded. "And the Coalition species, could their ships be retrofitted with this technology?" "With some modifications, yes. Their different consciousness patterns would actually improve the system's stability. Diversity is strength. Exactly what the Assembly feared." The Ambassador's hologram smiled. "Then I believe it's time for humanity to reveal its hand. Not as supplicants begging for acceptance, but as equals offering salvation." Elena turned to her team. "Begin final preparations on the prototype vessel, and send word to all our hidden facilities. Operation Quantum Dawn is now active." As her scientists sprang into action, Elena couldn't help but appreciate the irony. The Assembly had tried to force humanity into a box of their own design. never realizing that limitation itself was the catalyst for their greatest achievement. They had learned to think beyond conventional boundaries, to see possibilities where others saw only chaos. The quantum consciousness sphere pulsed with energy, a testament to what humanity could achieve when pushed to its limits. They hadn't just survived the assembly's rejection. They had transcended it. And soon, very soon, the galaxy would understand that true stability didn't come from rigid control, but from the harmonious embrace of change itself. In the depths of the Atacama Desert, humanity's silent revolution was about to become a symphony that would reshape the very fabric of galactic civilization. The assembly had wanted order. Instead, they would learn that the most beautiful order often emerged from the very chaos they feared. The assembly's emergency session chamber was in chaos. Holograms of devastated trade routes and collapsed hyperspace lanes floated above the central platform, each one representing billions in lost commerce and countless stranded vessels. High Speaker Xalfar's crystalline form had dulled to a sickly gray, their usual commanding presence diminished by the crisis at hand. The Centauri trade nexus has completely collapsed, a Varaxian representative announced, their smoke-like form agitated. 3 major colony worlds are now cut off from their supply lines. Without stable hyperspace lanes, they have resources for perhaps 2 standard months. From her hidden observation post in high orbit, Dr. Elena Santos watched the proceedings through quantum-tapped feeds. The Assembly's emergency session was supposed to be secured against all surveillance, but they hadn't counted on humanity's quantum consciousness technology, allowing them to exist as passive observers in the quantum field itself. The calculations were correct. She spoke into her neural interface, knowing her words would reach Ambassador Marcus Chen on Earth. The standardization of hyperspace technology created a fundamental weakness in the fabric of space-time. Each lane collapse is triggering a cascade effect in connected routes. And their solution? Marcus asked, his voice clear despite the vast distance. Elena watched as various assembly species proposed increasingly desperate measures. They're trying to reinforce existing lanes with conventional energy fields. It's like trying to patch a quantum fracture with adhesive tape. The assembly chamber erupted in new chaos as another report came in. The Proxima Centauri hyperspace gate, one of the oldest and most stable in the network, had just collapsed. 3 bulk cargo vessels were lost in the implosion, their crews' fate unknown. We cannot maintain order without the lanes, a crystalline being similar to Xalfar declared. Already, outer worlds are beginning to ignore assembly directives, seeking alternative trade routes through unregulated space. Elena's quantum sensors detected a subtle shift in the chamber's energy patterns. Someone was about to make a suggestion they knew wouldn't be popular. Perhaps, a Meridian representative began, their bioluminescent form pulsing with nervous energy. We should consider reaching out to the humans. The chamber fell silent. Even through the quantum feed, Elena could feel the tension. The humans. Xalfar's voice carried both dismissal and a hint of fear. They were restricted from precisely this type of research. Their chaotic approach to quantum mechanics would only worsen our crisis. The Meridians stood their ground. Our intelligence suggests they've continued their development in secret. There are rumors of new transportation technology, something that doesn't rely on fixed hyperspace lanes at all. Impossible, the Varaxian declared. Our monitoring systems would have detected any such advancement. Elena smiled. The Assembly's greatest weakness had always been their certainty that they knew everything worth knowing. Their monitoring systems looked for what they expected to see, blind to the possibilities that existed outside their understanding. Her neural interface chimed with an alert from the prototype vessel, humanity's first full-scale quantum consciousness dry ship. Its name was simple but meaningful. Paradigm. Final tests are complete, Dr. Carter reported from the ship. The quantum consciousness field can successfully envelope the entire vessel. We can transition between normal space and quantum space at will, creating our own paths through the quantum foam of reality itself. Elena watched the assembly continue their futile debate. How many ships can we outfit with the drive system within the next month? With the Coalition's hidden shipyards, at least 50. The beauty of the system is that each species' unique consciousness patterns actually strengthen the field stability. Unity through diversity, just as you theorized. Another alert flashed through her neural interface. This one from their deep space monitoring network. "Marcus," she called. "Are you seeing this?" "Yes," the ambassador replied grimly. "The quantum fractures are spreading faster than predicted. The Assembly's attempts to reinforce the lanes are actually accelerating the collapse." Belina ran the calculations through her enhanced consciousness, letting her awareness spread through the quantum field. The numbers were clear. We have weeks, not months. When the primary nexus points fail, it will trigger a chain reaction through the entire network. Millions will die. She watched the assembly chamber, where they were still debating whether to even acknowledge the possibility of seeking help from restricted species. Their pride was about to cost them everything. "It's time," Marcus decided. "Send the message to all Coalition members. Operation Quantum Dawn begins now." Elena nodded, though she knew he couldn't see her. With a thought, she activated the quantum communication network they'd built in secret over the past 5 years. Across the galaxy, hidden vessels powered up their quantum consciousness drives. The Coalition species, prepared for this moment, began moving their ships into position. "Sir," one of the Assembly's junior members interrupted the ongoing debate, "we're detecting unusual energy signatures throughout the sector. Hundreds of them, but they don't match any known configuration." The chamber's holographic displays shifted to show the new contacts. Ships were appearing everywhere, stepping out of quantum space without using any of the established lanes. Their drives pulsed with energy patterns that defied conventional scanning. Delina opened a channel to all assembly frequencies, her voice carrying the weight of 5 years of preparation. "This is Dr. Elena Santos of Earth. We've been monitoring your crisis, and we have a solution. The question is, are you ready to accept that your way isn't the only way?" The assembly chamber erupted once more, but this time with a different energy. Fear mixed with desperate hope, pride warring with necessity. Through it all, Elena watched through her quantum consciousness link, seeing the moment when realization dawned on their faces. The humans hadn't just survived their isolation. They had transcended it, and now, faced with the collapse of everything they had built, the assembly would have to choose: adapt to a new reality, or be consumed by the very order they had tried so hard to maintain. The galaxy was about to change, not through war or conquest, but through the simple, devastating power of human innovation. The price of pride was about to come due, and the currency would be paid in shattered certainties and rebuilt paradigms. The TSV paradigm hung in space above the Centauri colony world of New Hope, its quantum consciousness drive casting a subtle aurora against the planet's rings. Captain Sarah O'Neill stood on the bridge, watching through enhanced reality displays as another hyperspace lane collapsed in the distance, its death throes sending ripples through the quantum field. 47 minutes, her XO, Commander David Rivera, announced. "That's how long the colony has until their life support reserves are critically depleted." Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of 3 million lives through her neural interface's connection to the quantum field. The colony's own power generation had failed when the hyperspace gate imploded, taking their main fusion reactors with it. Now they were running on emergency systems, and time was running out. "Status of the Assembly Response Fleet?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. "Still 18 hours out, assuming they can even find a stable route through the deteriorating lanes." David's tone carried 5 years of justified bitterness toward the Assembly. "They're refusing to believe we can help until they verify our technology themselves." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Then we'll have to show them instead of telling them. Signal the Coalition ships to take position. Dr. Santos, are you ready?" Delina's hologram appeared on the bridge, her presence transmitted through the quantum consciousness network from Earth. "The modifications to your drive system are complete. Remember, this will be the first large-scale test of our quantum field projection technology. We're not just going to power up the colony, we're going to rewrite their understanding of energy distribution itself. The bridge crew took their positions, each connecting to the ship's quantum consciousness field through their neural interfaces. Sarah felt her awareness expand, merging with the paradigm systems and her crew's synchronized consciousness. This was what the assembly had feared. Not just new technology, but a new way of existing within the universe itself. Coalition vessels report ready, David announced. The Meridian ships are particularly eager to prove themselves. Sarah nodded. The Coalition species had embraced humanity's innovations with an enthusiasm that bordered on revelatory. Where the assembly saw chaos in their varied approaches to quantum mechanics, humanity had seen strength and diversity. "Begin quantum field projection," she ordered. "Let's show them what cooperation really looks like." The Paradigm's drive pulsed, its quantum consciousness field expanding to encompass the Coalition ships. Each vessel's unique crew consciousness patterns added new dimensions to the field, strengthening it in ways that would have been impossible with a single species. Through her enhanced awareness, Sarah felt the quantum field touch the failing colony below. The assembly's rigid energy distribution systems had never considered the possibility of drawing power directly from the quantum foam of space itself. They were about to learn the benefits of thinking outside their carefully constructed box. "Energy transfer beginning," Elena reported, her hologram's eyes closed in concentration as she monitored the quantum fields from Earth. The colony's systems are adapting faster than expected. Their own technological base is evolving in response to our quantum field. On the planet below, lights began to flicker back on. But this was more than just restored power. The quantum consciousness field was teaching their systems a new way to function, showing them possibilities they had never imagined. "Captain," David called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the Assembly Response Fleet. They're demanding we cease whatever we're doing immediately. They claim we're violating at least 15 different technological protocols." Sarah opened her eyes, the quantum field showing her the truth behind the Assembly's fear. "Send them our sensor data. Let them see exactly what we're doing." It's time they understood that protocols should serve progress, not hinder it. Through the quantum network, she felt Elena's approval. The scientists have fought for years to prove that humanity's chaotic approach to quantum mechanics was actually a more natural way to interact with the universe. Now they were proving it on a scale even the Assembly couldn't ignore. "Colony power systems at 120% capacity," David reported with satisfaction. "Their new quantum-enhanced grid is more efficient than anything they've ever had. The Assembly's going to have a hard time arguing with success." Sarah watched as the colony's ships began to rise from their forced grounding, their systems transformed by contact with the quantum consciousness field. "Send the technical specifications for the basic quantum consciousness interfaces to the colony's engineering teams. Make it clear that this is a gift, not a transaction." "The Assembly won't like that," David warned. "Their whole system is built on controlled technology transfer." "The Assembly system is collapsing," Sarah replied. "They can either adapt to a new way of thinking, or they can watch as more worlds choose to follow our path." Elena's hologram nodded. The quantum consciousness network is already detecting increased coherence patterns from other colonies in the sector. They're reaching out, seeking connection. The Assembly can't stop the spread of ideas, especially when those ideas work better than anything they've offered. The bridge crew watched as more ships rose from the colony, their systems transformed by the brief contact with human quantum technology. Each vessel represented not just a life saved, but a mind open to new possibilities. "Captain," David's voice carried a note of amusement. "The Assembly fleet is requesting permission to observe our quantum field technology up close. Apparently, they're willing to temporarily suspend those protocols they were just quoting." Sarah smiled. Permission granted. After all, sharing knowledge freely is the human way. She paused, watching the Assembly ships approach cautiously through the quantum field. "Send them the full technical specifications as well. Let's show them that real strength comes from lifting others up, not holding them down. The quantum consciousness field rippled with potential, carrying humanity's message across the stars. They hadn't come to conquer or to seek revenge. They had come to share, to teach, and to grow. The assembly had tried to contain humanity's potential within their rigid framework. Instead, they had forced humanity to create something far more powerful, a new way of thinking that would transform the galaxy forever. The price of pride was being paid not in destruction, but in enlightenment. And as Sarah watched the assembly ships take their first tentative steps into humanity's quantum reality, she knew that the real revolution was just beginning. 1 year after the Nexus crisis, the Great Dome of Earth's new Quantum Assembly Center dwarfed its crystalline predecessor on New Geneva. Unlike the old assembly chamber's rigid hierarchical design, this space was circular, with all representatives seated at the same level. Above them, the quantum consciousness field created a living display of the galaxy itself, showing the new networks of consciousness-driven ships weaving between the stars like threads of light. Dr. Elena Santos stood at the central platform beside Ambassador Marcus Chen, watching as representatives from over 300 worlds took their places. Some were former assembly members who had chosen a new path. Others were emerging species who had been denied assembly membership for being too unstable or unpredictable. All of them were here because they believed in a different way forward. The Terran Cooperative, Marcus announced, his voice carrying naturally through the quantum-enhanced acoustics. Not an empire, not a council that dictates from above, but a true collaboration of species working together to push the boundaries of what's possible. Elena felt the quantum field ripple with approval. Through their shared connection to the consciousness network, she could sense the genuine enthusiasm from the gathered representatives. This was something new in the galaxy, not just technological advancement, but a fundamental shift in how species interacted with each other and reality itself. The assembly called us chaotic. Elena stepped forward, addressing the gathered species. They saw our rapid advancement as a threat to their carefully maintained order. But what they failed to understand was that chaos and order are not opposites. They are partners in the dance of creation. The quantum display above shifted, showing the transformation of the galaxy over the past year. Where the assembly's rigid hyperspace lanes had once been the only way to traverse the stars, now quantum consciousness corridors flowed like rivers of light, each one unique to the species and ships that created it. Our quantum consciousness technology didn't just solve the hyperspace crisis, Elena continued. It showed us a fundamental truth about the universe. Diversity is strength. Each species' unique consciousness patterns, when properly integrated, strengthen the quantum field as a whole. The very differences the assembly feared have become the foundation of our success. Captain Sarah O'Neill of the Paradigm stepped forward next, her ship's successful missions having become legendary across the galaxy. In the past year, we've helped establish quantum consciousness networks on over 1,000 worlds. Every species that joins adds new dimensions to our understanding. We're not just traveling between stars anymore. We're learning to dance with the quantum fabric of reality itself. The display shifted again, showing the latest breakthrough. Entire cities powered by quantum consciousness fields, their technology evolving in harmony with the natural quantum state of the universe. The assembly's old technology transfer protocols had been replaced by open collaboration, leading to advancements that would have taken centuries under the old system. And what of the assembly? A voice called from the gathered representatives. Elena recognized the crystalline form of former High Speaker Exiled, who had chosen to join the cooperative after witnessing the success of human innovation. Marcus stepped forward to answer. They continue to maintain their traditional territories, holding to their established ways. And that's their right. The cooperative doesn't seek to force change. We offer possibilities. Those who wish to explore them are welcome. Those who don't are free to follow their own path. But they're becoming increasingly isolated, Sarah added. More of their member worlds petition to join the cooperative each day. Not because we're stronger or more advanced, but because we offer something they never could. the freedom to evolve at their own pace in their own way. Elena activated her neural interface, connecting directly to the quantum field that encompassed the chamber. Through it, she felt the combined consciousness of the gathered species, a symphony of thought and potential that the assembly could never have imagined. 5 years ago, humanity stood before the assembly and was judged unworthy, she said. They saw our potential as a threat, our creativity as chaos, our diversity as weakness. But in doing so, they taught us our greatest lesson. True advancement comes not from controlling the universe, but from learning to flow with it. The quantum display above them transformed one final time, showing the latest project that Elena's team had been developing. Not just quantum consciousness drives for ships, but a way to extend the field to encompass entire solar systems. A technology that would allow species to truly share consciousness across the vast distances of space, creating a galactic community unlike anything in history. This is the dawn of a new age, Marcus declared, not one of empires or councils, but of cooperation and mutual growth. The assembly sought to contain the chaos of progress within their carefully constructed box of rules and regulations. We choose instead to embrace that chaos, to learn from it, and to grow with it. The chamber erupted in approval, the quantum field crackling with the combined enthusiasm of hundreds of species. Elena felt their consciousness patterns merging and separating in a beautiful dance of unity and individuality. This was what humanity had been pushing toward all along, not domination, but harmonious cooperation. As the first session of the Terran Cooperative drew to a close, Elena looked out at the gathered representatives. The assembly had feared humanity would disrupt their carefully maintained order. Instead, humanity had shown the galaxy a greater truth, that the most beautiful order emerges not from rigid control, but from the free flow of ideas, consciousness, and possibility. The price of pride had been paid not in destruction or domination, but in transformation. The assembly had sought to contain humanity's potential. Instead, they had forced humanity to reach beyond anything they could have achieved within the assembly's constraints, and in doing so, they had helped create something far greater than an empire. They had helped birth a new way of existing within the cosmos itself. As the quantum field pulsed with the combined consciousness of hundreds of species working together in harmony, Elena knew that this was just the beginning. The universe was infinite in its possibilities, and humanity had finally found its true role, not as conquerors or subjects, but as guides helping all species discover their own unique path through the quantum dance of reality.